Hello, my name is Lucy Khan, and I welcome you to our Toastmaster in the community. I would like to introduce to you our producer and host, Ms. Fran Aukison.
Thank you very much, Lucy. It's nice to have you up here in the front again with me, and I appreciate your opening. For my speech today, I'm doing speech number 2 from the Advanced Manual of Inform Your Subject, and I want to show a couple of things that I put in my computer many, many years ago. I have something that I didn't give Peter because he had other jobs to do today, but on these 2 pages, you can just see an outline of 320 speech topics that people can use. I send this to anyone who is interested in it, and over the years, I have done speeches in very many of these things. So just to pick out a couple of ideas here, one I thought was autographs. Now, I like to collect books signed by the authors. And some of our people here in our club, No Limits Toastmasters, have written books. Kevin has a book. Paul, you'll be hearing from him later. Quite a few people. I think one of my early books that I really was very happy about was Mary Higgins Clark. I love her writing, and I met her a long, long time ago. Her daughter Carol came to a conference when I was either district governor or the year I gave it up, and they asked me if I could recommend somebody to be a guest speaker. And I said, well, how about Carol Higgins Clark? And Carol came, and she was the life of the party. Humorous, oh, wonderful. So I gave her, next time I saw her, I gave her all of my Mary Higgins Clark's books and asked her to have her mom sign them. Her mom said, one of these days, Carol's going to bring me to your TV show. And I keep asking and asking, and I will continue. I hope she will come. All right, there's other things. Discovering yourself. What we heard in this morning's speech about Kevin being raised to be a gentleman, and just that whole speech was so moving. Discovering yourself. He doesn't have to discover himself. He feels very comfortable being himself, and I've known him for many, many years. What about environmental issues? There's so many things in the environment that we can talk on. Something easy, new ideas. I use this book for speeches, for table topic questions, and going around. Well, here's one that I like is lighthouses. Now, everybody who knows me knows about my penchant for lighthouses. I had mugs made when I was the district governor of District 46 years ago. I had them made up for all my district, my area governors in those days, and my division governors. Also, I did a program 2 years for Mary Batchelor, who we've been on the show, who does the American Sign Language, and she asked me to teach public speaking to her ASL students for American Sign Language, and I did it 1 year, and the next year they presented me with this beautiful lighthouse, and I tried to bring it because it's not as heavy as the one you gave me, which was this tall, solid glass, and I could hardly lift it, and it's in a very good place in my dining room. But I don't want to break it, number one, and number two, it's much too heavy at my age to carry. If it had legs, I'd walk to the studio here, but one of the most beautiful solid glass. All right, now pocket power. I like to make flyers. I make flyers for everything. And pocket power, Peter found me this adorable kangaroo. And I thought, oh, kangaroos have pockets. So what I do sometimes, I'll tell people, if they want to be the Toastmaster for the day or whatever, put things in their pocket or put it in a bag. Pocket power. People have to talk about something that they, it's like table topics, and I may play around with this one of these months. But for example, I give an example. Keys. I went to a regional conference back when we had the regional conferences, and I was in a stadium type thing with seats, and I was asking people just questions about, one thing was keys, and I saw a man who came in late. He was sitting up in the top bleacher, and I said, sir, would you like to come down? I have a nice question for you. And I said, he said, yeah, I'm game. He came down, I said, all right, I'd like you to take out your keys and tell us what's on your key ring. And that was one of the biggest surprises I ever had. He had his car key, his house key. He had a garage key, because he said he had a lot of tools in the garage. And then he looked and he said, and this key is to the locker at the gym. And he stopped, like Kevin, paused, and the story just came out of him, that he had 2 young sons. One was about 8, the other maybe 4. And he went to the gym on Saturday. And when he came home, he was tired, and the kids wanted to play with Daddy. And he realized that he was missing an opportunity to spend time with his sons. So the next week he went in, stopped his membership, turned in the key, and he said he taught his kids how to help him in the yard, raking the leaves, cleaning up around the house. He said it was the best movie ever made. So you never know, and I've done this with other people just to give them an idea of, I may do that on the show someday. I put things into a hat one time, and I had people go in and take out, and we've done it with fortune cookies, so we're having a lot of fun with that. But anyway, you can make a speech out of anything, and it's just like the table topics. Most people don't know. I did read Kevin's question to Rachel. We had a good laugh. We thought he was going to carry on the Victoria's Secret, but he was very demure today and very proper today. But that's my idea about speech tips a la carte, and I'll give these to anybody who wants to use them. So that's my end. So let's move on with the show. And we call them shows here because we're on TV. Actually, they're regular Toastmasters meetings. All right, our second speaker, Richard, you're going to have to run cameras because I need Paul up. Oh, he is. All right. Our next speaker is Paul Paradise, who is handling a lot of things back there, camera 2, and telling me what to do and what not to do. And we have to get more people trained to help us out here. All right, Paul, you're doing speech number 5 in the Storytelling Advanced Manual, Bringing History to Life. Joan Maurizio is your evaluator, and I gave you 7 minutes, although Joan, give a correction there, because when I redid the scripts, I forgot to give him the extra minute, please. And his title is Rising to the Occasion. Let's all welcome Paul Paradise.
Thank you very much, Fran. Fellow Toastmasters. The Imam Ali Rashad was on his deathbed. For the past 25 years, he'd been the leader of the Malcolm Shabazz Mosque in Harlem. Now it was time for him to pick a successor. The man he chose was named Isaac al-Pasha. Well, when Mr. Pasha heard that he was chosen to be the successor, he was shocked. He's only been a member of the mosque for a few months. Well, he could hardly turn down this position. What he decided to do, or also chose to do, was to pack up his family and move to another city rather than undertake this mission. But after some thought, he realized he'd been there long enough, and he knew that the mosque was deeply divided, it was doing poorly financially, and someone had to take over, otherwise the mosque might fail. So what he did was he called the congregation together, and he said, I'll accept this position, but from now on, I want it to be known that we are a we congregation rather than a me congregation. The congregation agreed, and with that, he resigned his position as a plumber and took over the congregation, the mosque. He was very happy with this because the mosque was very well known historically because it was the mosque that Malcolm X had founded. Malcolm X was born Malcolm Little, and his father had died, but actually was murdered when he was very young, and his mother had been placed in a mental institution. So he had grown up in foster care and wound up in prison when he was still, I think he was a late teenager. And while he was in prison, he'd accepted Islam. And he moved to New York City shortly afterwards and joined the Nation of Islam, which was run by Elijah Muhammad. He arose in the Nation of Islam with his fiery speeches, but afterwards he changed and wanted to become more peaceful and set up and established the mosque and was assassinated by members of the Nation of Islam. So Imam Pasha's mission then was to find leadership in this new mosque. And one of his first tasks was to deal with the rising influx of Africans who were coming to New York City and were moving to Harlem. In fact, they were centered right around 116th Street and the mosque. Many of them were working as street peddlers, and they were selling counterfeit merchandise, counterfeit Louis Vuitton bags, counterfeit Calvin Klein jeans, and they were causing a nuisance to many of the shop owners who were complaining to the new mayor, Rudolph Giuliani, who was threatening to round them up and send a lot of them back to Africa. Now, Imam Pasha was already locking horns with Mayor Giuliani because a New York City street crime unit had accidentally shot one of the street peddlers, whose name was Amadou Diallo. So he called for a meeting with Mayor Giuliani, and they sat down and he said, Mayor Giuliani, I have an idea. Why don't we use the lot next to the mosque, which is abandoned, and turn that into a market, and many of the street peddlers can move there. Mayor Giuliani thought about it. He said, you know what, that may work out. I'll support you in that. So that's what they did. They set up a market right next to the market, and it was called the Malcolm Shabazz Harlem Market. And many of the street peddlers moved there. Now, of course, they weren't selling counterfeit merchandise, but many of them were dressed in their native attire, and they were selling African cloths, African art, African jewelry. And sure enough, this became a widespread tourist attraction, prompting Mayor Giuliani to come to the mosque and to praise Imam Pasha as a messenger who unites people. Well, after that, Imam Pasha became the first cleric for the NYPD, and one of his finest moments came right after 9/11. There was a reception after the 9/11 that was held on the grounds of the World Trade Center, and many speakers were invited, including Hillary Clinton, and they wanted someone from Islam, represent the Islamic community, to come and speak. And who better to come than Imam Pasha, who came and gave a very moving speech about world unity. And at that point, he truly was the man who rose to the occasion. And he has since gone down, become a speaker for the Islamic speaker for the country. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Paul. Sounds very interesting. And congratulations on your new book.
Thank you.
Okay. Lucy, you know what I did? I was so interested in hearing the speeches. I forgot to show you something else. My lighthouses.
Wow.
I just received this a couple of weeks ago
Lighthouse.
from
That's nice.
past District 46 Governor Nick LaView. It's a 16-month calendar, all of lighthouses.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And yes, and I called him. He's now living in Georgia, but he came up the line after I did. But he always remembers when he sees lighthouses.
Nice.
I should put a spotlight up in the attic and let it shine around the neighborhood.
That'd be great.
Yes, it is. Okay, Linda, thank you for helping Joan with the timing today. We appreciate it. When it's a small crew, everybody has to sort of merge around. All right, you're doing speech number 5 in the basic manual, Your Body Speaks. You have 6 minutes. Rachel Weiss is your evaluator. And I like your title, How We Learn. And I'm sure we can learn something new from you today. Linda Isaacs.
Learning is not something that stops when we get out of school. If you think about it, how well we learn can affect how well we do at our work, in our relationships, in our finances, in how we manage chores like taking care of our home or cooking, and certainly with our health. Learning is a part of living. It's not an isolated task that's only relevant for students. Now, the lecture I'm going to be giving here, my speech, is based on a book by a man named Benedict Carey, and it's called How We Learn. The book focuses on academics simply because books about learning are typically written by university professors, and they have a lot of students to use as guinea pigs as they do their experiments. But I still believe that what I'm going to share today will be useful to you as it's been useful to me. One fact that intrigued me as I was looking at information about this work was that if we understand how we forget, it can actually help us to learn. And I'll hope to explain that as we go along. Now, learning has a lot to do with memory. And there's 2 aspects to memory. One is storage. How strongly or weakly do we store information? Now, in a way, our brain is like a spam filter. Information is coming in all the time. As an example, when I walk down the streets of Manhattan, I really don't care about fashion. I don't pay any attention to what people are wearing. But someone else whose job is fashion or whose passion is fashion might notice everything about what people are wearing. So they would store some information as being relevant, useful, interesting, that I would just filter out. And storage can be weak or strong. Examples here. I remember my home address very, very well. It's stored securely. The room number for the hotel that I stayed in last week at a conference, not so good. That one I remembered while I was there, but then it's gone a week or 2 later. So anything that we truly commit to memory is still in there somewhere. The challenge, though, can be finding it, and that's retrieval. Retrieval of information is also very relevant to learning. An example of strong retrieval, my current address. Again, I can remember that at the drop of a hat. But think about my childhood address. Now, we moved around a lot when I was a kid, but I had a lot of addresses. At any given time, I remembered them very well. But with time, my ability to retrieve that information drops. However, just out of curiosity, a few months ago, I decided to see if I could find out where I lived when I was in high school. I remembered the street, but not the number, did a little research, and now I can tell you, I lived at 612 Cardigan Court, Lexington, Kentucky. And having resuscitated that memory, so to speak, now it's very strong. It turns out, though, that in learning something new, in studying, that understanding that we forget can actually help you build better retrieval. To give you an example of how you can use that, I'd like to mention another speech that will be coming along today. Kevin Thompson will be speaking about coaching. Now, Let's say that you are especially interested in the topic of coaching. Perhaps you're a coach yourself and you want to steal this material so you can persuade people to be coached. Perhaps you'd like to get a coach. Maybe you think your spouse needs a coach. Whatever your interest might be, how would you approach really getting the most and learning the most from that lecture? Well, first, you might spend a little time thinking about coaching right now. Think about it so that what he says will integrate into what you already know, which will help you store it and retrieve it. Then, during his lecture, you take notes. You write down what he's saying in a way that's meaningful and relevant to you. And if you're here in the studio audience, you might look over your notes afterwards and then go ask him for more information if you don't understand something. But then what do? You might be tempted to go home and look over the notes again, or to look over them again later today and then think, I got this down. The fact is, though, that if you do that and think that's all you need to do, 4 or 5 days from now, you will have forgotten most of it. What actually works, according to the scientists that study this, is to go back a couple of days from now and look at it again. Your recollection, your ability to reach the material that's been stored, to retrieve it, will have weakened by then. And by reinforcing it, you'll create a stronger retrieval pathway the next time. If you then go a few days later and retrieve it again, it becomes even stronger. If you find ways to test yourself on the information by just writing down what you remember before you look at your notes, even stronger. And for my fellow Toastmasters, I would say a really good way to reinforce information that you want to remember is to give a speech about it at your next Toastmasters meeting. So your goal then is to start off with a meet and greet of the information, but then renew your acquaintance with it periodically over the next few days or weeks until it's really solid in your memory. So again, the book is How We Learn by Benedict Carey. I've only scratched the surface of what's in there, and I hope that I've convinced you that learning how to learn is a valuable thing to do. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Linda. Very interesting. All right. Now we come to you, Lucy. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Lucy needs 7 minutes, Joan, please. Again, it's a Storytelling Advanced Manual, the folktale. And Joan, you're her evaluator. Thank you for stepping up twice. I appreciate it. And the title is How the Truth Will Prevail. Let's all welcome Lucy Kahn.
Fellow Toastmaster guests, viewing audience, and especially my Toastmaster host, Fran. How many of you believe that truth will prevail? So once upon a time, there was neither your time nor my time, there was a king who lives in a far, far away land. He was so happy and good looking, and when his father told him that he's going to be the best king in the kingdom, he said, what should I do? And his father said, you have to tell the truth and that be yourself and help your people. So he was the best king on his kingdom, and when his father died, he became the best famous king, and he has all kinds of people that loves him, and he believes in helping people and making sure that his kingdom are happy and a happy kingdom. So one day he wanted to get married. So he married a beautiful lady, and they never have a son or any heir. And his wife died, so he finally reigned his kingdom by himself. So he went around and make all those beautiful people to be the best people in his kingdom. So one day he decided that when he become old, he needs an heir to his kingdom. So then he has his idea. He said that he wants to choose the best child to become his heir to his kingdom. So he told everybody, all his fellow people to bring their children to his palace. And he said that he has to have the kids from age 9 to 15 to be there. So when they came, all the kids came, and he said that he's going to give them some seeds to plant on the garden, and then when the time comes, he wants to choose the kids who has the most beautiful flowers that has the plant on his that he gives to the children. So the children get each handful of seeds to be planted to their garden. So one of the young kid came, and he got the seed, and he went home, and he planted in a beautiful flower pot. Days came, and he watered the plant, he put fertilizer in the plant, but nothing happens. There's no plant coming out. Then winter comes, he still watered the plant, and still nothing happens. So then he said maybe he will bring the planted pot in another beautiful pot. So he planted again, and he was so worried. And he told his father, he said, "Father, I don't believe this. There's nothing on the plant. There was no the seedling, the nothing. There was no, I thought that there was nothing that goes up from the plant." And his father said, "Well, that's the seed that the king gave you. So you have to water it, and maybe it will blossom." So he said, "No, it's not. I think it's already dead." So he said, "Well, just plant them and water them and take care of them." So then the time comes that the king wants everyone to come to his palace. This way he can see the most beautiful flowers that he can choose, and he will have the kid that has the most beautiful flower to be his heir. And this young kid said, "Father, I don't want to go to the palace." And his father said, "Why?" He said, "Because there's nothing on my flower pot. There is no flower. It's not growing." So then his father said, "Well, you have to tell the truth." And the little son said, "Well, what should I do?" So just bring your flower pot and bring it to the palace, and let the king show you what he wants to tell you. Tell him that you have this plant, you have this seed that he gave you, and nothing happens. So then he said, "But the king might not like me, because he wants the most beautiful flowers that he wants to choose." And the father said, "I told you, tell the truth. You have to go there and tell him that there's nothing in the pot." So he went in. And when he went, there were dozens and dozens of children there with the beautiful flowers blooming. And he said, "How come all these children have flowers?" And the seed was all planted and grown. And he said, "Mine is nothing." So the king went around, and he found him. And he said, "Well, what's happening to your plant?" He said, "King, I really want to let you know that I'm telling the truth, that you gave me the seed, and nothing happens." So then he said, "I want, right now, I remember my father telling me to tell the truth always." So he said, "I'm going to choose you to be my heir." And he was so surprised. "Why me?" So then the king said that, "Because I boiled all the seeds, and nothing will really come out of the seed. And you're the only one who told me the truth." So the young kid's father told the kid, and he said, "See, son, the truth will prevail, and the reason why you tell the truth, and now you become the next king of the kingdom." So they were so happy, and he was so happy, and the king was so happy to find someone who really tell the truth. Thank
Very,
you.
very nice, Lucy. It's hard to find a folk tale that fits the time frame and everything. You did a good job on that. Okay, and our final speaker in this meeting is Kevin Thompson. Kevin, you're doing speech number 6 from the basic manual, vocal variety. You have 6 minutes. I happen to be your evaluator. Sorry about that, but
Lucky me.
well, we'll see about that in a few minutes. Coaching.
Then lucky you.
I know. Coaching, can you benefit from it? So let me hear your speech, Kevin, and I'll be very direct. I just wrote out the evaluation from my old book, and we'll see how you make out. Kevin Thompson.
Thank you, Fran. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and of course, you, our viewing audience at home. So I'd like to ask you a question. How is it that people like Serena Williams and Stephen Curry and Olympic athletes are so successful? And what is it that they have that you can have too to be successful? That is coaching. Yes, all of those people, and in fact, even if you are going to be the international speech champion for Toastmasters, what is it that you need? You need coaching. Anybody that is interested in success, anyone who's interested in developing themselves to be better than they were before, anyone who wants to reach a level of excellence requires some coaching. So let me tell you why, and then let me explain to you what the advantage of coaching is. All of us, even me and Fran, even though she won't admit it, has blind spots, areas that we cannot see ourselves because we think, oh, well, we're doing good, we're great, we're in the position that we're in, and we're doing excellent. But there are things about yourself that you cannot see. And the advantage of somebody observing you from the outside, like we do here in a Toastmasters meeting with the speech evaluations, provides the insight to you that you can't see. So I am actually presenting to you on TV right now. But there's some things that I can't see, and I know Fran is going to tell us later on. That's the value of coaching. So how do you implement this in your life? And what is the real value to you? Now, if you're not interested in being successful at all, turn the TV off now. Don't even worry about it, because what I'm saying is of no consequence to you. But if you're looking to be a person of excellence, if you're looking to come up to the next bar of success, if you're looking to be better tomorrow than you are today, you need coaching. So then you say, Kevin, how do I find a coach? That's the secret. So look at yourself and see what areas do you think you need to improve. Then look at someone who has achieved greatness or who has helped others achieve greatness and have the conversation. Because in there you have the opportunity to discover what you might benefit from, what they may have to offer, and what value you can receive from actually being coached. Now, some people say, oh, well, you know, I know everything, I've seen everything, I've done everything, I don't need a coach. I'm here to tell you that's just plain dumb. You don't, in fact, no one doesn't know everything. Some people think they do, but no one knows everything. And there's always an opportunity, regardless of what you do, to improve. Take Fran, for example. She has 19 DTMs. Is there something that Fran can improve? You're going to find out what her speech evaluator evaluates her speech right after me. That is the value of coaching. And I'm here to tell you, if you've ever had the opportunity to spend any time at all looking at a Toastmasters TV show like you are today, and you've had the opportunity to listen to Fran and hear speeches from her and hear her evaluations, I am guaranteeing you that you are going to be excited to hear Fran evaluate my speech, because I know she cannot wait to tell you something that I need to do better. And the best part of that is that I will have the opportunity to improve and benefit from the 19 DTMs that Fran has. She didn't just get them overnight. She's been working at them. She works at it daily. And being coached provides you the benefit of that experience. So I'd like to recommend to you, go out, find a coach. Think about those things that you aren't really good at or could be better at. And by doing so, you'll improve yourself and those people that interact with you. Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster.
You went way over the line this time, Kevin, dear. Very good. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Now I really have to think about this evaluation. All right, now we're going into the tabletop, the evaluation portion of our meeting. Song is sort of, you're brand new as a Toastmaster. I hope you weren't too nervous evaluating me, but whatever you say, you can't top that at all, so I have to be very careful. Anyway, if I beat you up, your husband's here to take you home carefully, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to introduce our newest Toastmaster on Staten Island, Song Ramasa, and she's going to do her best at evaluating my pitiful little speech topics a la carte.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel humbled to evaluate Madam Toastmaster's speech topics a la carte. The speech directed to the interest and background of the audience was superb because two subjects, the lighthouse and Toastmasters, which are both shining lights for a better pathway. The lighthouse is for the safety for ships, and the Toastmasters is for better communication. Now, what can be improved? I only can tell you my preference. I would like the speaker to pause a little longer between sentences because the pauses will give me time to process in my brain what I just have heard. Lastly, I want to thank you, Madam Toastmaster, for telling us what speech topics can be made out of anything, because that's very encouraging. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, we're anxious for you to get started with your new Pathways program. That should be very, very interesting, and I think you'll tackle it beautifully. Hi, Joan. Yeah, you're doing a lot of walking today, Joan. Thank you for filling in.
Exercise, thank you.
That's all right. Okay, so you're evaluating Paul's speech from the storytelling manual. We had two people telling stories today. Joan Maurizio.
Yeah, that was a great speech, Paul. Thank you very much. And to our viewers and people listening here. Was the plot of the story clear? Cultural community working together, coming up with a better plan for a successful New York. Very necessary. Yes, the characters were very well developed. Looking for a new imam. We, not me community. Malcolm X started aggressive, wound up peaceful. Counterfeit to legit vendors in a specific marketplace. To what degree did he succeed in building the story? And he said he showed where it went from near failure to somewhat successful in outlook, and then it just kept getting better after that. Yes, he was descriptive in his dialogue and telling the story. And did you gain a greater insight into this? And I said, yes, it brought me the understanding that a lot is missing today. There's a lot of misunderstanding today. And in hearing this story, he brought that about, and especially World Unity Day after 9/11. And how effective was he in vocal variety and in telling the story? And was he distracting in any way? And I said, no distractions. And he was serious and somber. So I give him an A+ for this speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan. And now we have, let me see, Linda's speech was evaluated by Rachel. Does she have her roller skates on? I see her coming. Just get out of her way. We'll just keep smiling up here, Rachel. Oh, don't run. If you fall, we'll only have to pick you up.
All right.
You out of breath?
So, Linda, again, a wonderful speech, excellent graphic. You did a phenomenal job of presenting that information about how we remember and how we learn. The job of this speech was your body speaks. That means your hand gestures. Most of your hand gestures were down here. It was times where I thought you could have, said, help your brain think. Maybe pointing to the brain. Help your body hear, pointing to the ears. Different ways of being able to connect what you're saying with what you're wanting the audience to think about and to take away. We have a little bit more room here, so you can be a little bit more broad in gestures. I know you want to make sure that you don't get outside the box, but hopefully as you're watching the monitor, you can see that I can do many things with my hands and still be within the box of the camera. Overall, speech was great. You did a better job this time than the last time with your hand gestures. I look forward to you continuing to excel in developing that skill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Now she has to go back and continue directing. A woman of many talents. Lucy, your speech was evaluated by Joan. How the truth will prevail. Welcome again, Joan. Maybe we should have a change of clothes out there and you could quickly change your jacket or something.
Wonder Woman! Anyway, no, I'm no wonder, believe me. This was such an interesting speech. I'm saying to myself, none of this really mattered. They're asking about your technique, your tempo, your rhythm, your inflection, your pause, your volume. I said, even though it was not at maximum, it was okay, it was fine. Excellence was not required. You told a story that if you were writing a column like a Dick Tracy type column, and we had to wait from week to week to week to find out what was going on with the seeds and why they weren't growing, and that all that angst that you build up in the son and the father, the son being very discouraged and the father just encouraging him to always be truthful. And I just loved it when you finally got to the end. But this is the whole thing, though. You built up a suspense. And I said, well, here it is. Express the idea of the mood of the speaker and what she was trying to convey. And I said the son was worried. Everyone's seeds were flourishing. His was not. And then he got the truth, too. The seeds were boiled. They were not supposed to grow. And that was the big punchline in it all. You gave a great speech. All this other stuff is secondary. It's you, the speaker. That was wonderful. Thank you for a great story.
Wow, what a nice evaluation. Oh, you're blushing. Oh, wow, okay. Now I have the privilege of evaluating Kevin. Coaching, can you benefit from it? All right, Kevin, since you didn't bring a manual, I wrote everything out on a piece of paper here, but let me just do it orally. Oh, where is he? Okay. Kevin, vocal variety, and you have plenty of that. Vocal variety. There were different things that were supposed to be attributed to the speech. Okay, topic selection. Your topics are always good. We always learn something from you. This has been going on ever since I met you. You don't just give a speech that doesn't count. It always gives us something to think about. Volume, I'm not going into that because if you speak too loud or too soft, they'll adjust it in the control room. So on TV, you sort of take a little pass on that. Your rate is always good. I like the fact that you have pauses. You give people a chance to catch up to you because sometimes people don't hear as quickly as others. Let's see, your pauses were great. Your expressions were double great. Your vocal variety is always tremendous. Your organization have followed from one point to the other. Your body language, I said your gestures were good and they matched what you were saying. Okay, I was supposed to say, what could you have done differently? I didn't think so. No, you did. There's nothing that I could correct on that. What I liked about the speech, I said your humor is one of your greatest assets. But I did take some notes up here that you have a couple of grammar problems, and I notice these once in a while, but I've never evaluated you because I just have other things here to do. But you used the word excellent when it was supposed to be excellently. It was an adverb, so that ly was very important, very, very noticeable. And a couple of times you drop your ends of words. You were saying the word saying, but you said sayin, S-A-Y-I-N. So you need to make us hear that G at the end of it. That's part of the vocal variety. Other than that, if you take this home and stick it in your book, I'll sign your book next time if you remember to bring it, okay? Kevin, wherever you are. Okay, thank you very much. And that's the end of our evaluations. Now we're going into table topics. Lucy, please don't look at me because you're one of
Okay.
the table topic people, and I
All
can only
right.
hide just so much of it. All right, Paul Paradise, are you up? Paul, I love these questions. Somebody from Toastmasters gave me a book on stupid questions, and when I read it to get some ideas, there were more dirty questions in that book than there were clean ones. So I went through the book twice just to find something that I could put on the air or anyplace else. But Paul, if you could be invisible for an hour every day, what would you do during that hour? Paul Paradise.
Thank you. Well, there are a number of things I could think of. I could go to the movies without having to pay. I could possibly go to the World Series without having to pay. I'm trying to think of other things. Maybe I could go. No, I was tempted to say I could get on an airplane flight, but there was no place to sit, and I'm sure people would get in the way. I could go to watch other things, but that's an interesting thought. I could probably read, what is it, The Invisible Man, to get some ideas on things I could do if I was invisible. It's a tempting thought, Fran, but I'm glad you asked that question. Maybe you can ask it to me again, and I'll give you some other answers. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for being a good sport, Paul. All right, Joan, here you go. I got a nice one for you, Joan. I'm dying to hear your answer.
Don't
If you
die.
had a third eye, where would it be, Joan?
Wait a minute. She's got this all wrong, folks. The third eye is already on the back of every mother's head. Because there's that ongoing joke like, how did she see that? She wasn't even facing us. Well, sometimes your reflection shows up somewhere else in the kitchen, like on a shiny whatever, and Mom sees it that way. You thought she had a third eye, but she did not. So where would I put the third eye? I think I put it over my big mouth. This way I could see more than I speak, and maybe if I see enough and it reflects on me enough, I might pick up my pen and write a note to the person instead of insulting them in person, and maybe be kinder in the note. That was a great question. Thank you.
I asked Peter that one night because I didn't know if, and he said the back of the head, because then you always know if somebody's coming up behind you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, mothers have it in the back of their head already. We know that.
Okay, you're a good sport. No, these was good sport things. If anybody wants this book, there's too many things that I just don't want to do in public. Lucy, okay, if you, I have to be nice with you because your husband's on camera 3, and your husband makes brownies for all of our meetings for years and years and years. If he's not here, people come in, the first thing he says, hi, Fran, oh, where's the brownies? I said, they went on vacation, they have a right. All right, Lucy, if you could invent a special holiday, what and when would it be? Lucy Kahn.
If I want to invent a special holiday, where and when it's going to be, I think I would like to have it on summertime. This way everyone will be in, I like to have like a reunion, so it will be summertime where the kids have their vacation, and we might go to, I'd like to go to Hawaii. So hopefully we'll have a reunion in Hawaii and have some kind of vacation there, and everybody will be very happy, and we're going to have a nice picture of all the kids and my grandkids and having fun in the sun and in the beach, and really just relax.
Very good, Lucy. See, you pulled
Thank
it out, right? Linda, you're a final, and I'll tell you, if that clock is right, we still have time. So I'm opening my speech topics a la carte, and we'll play around with them a little bit. Linda. All right, I got rid of your page. All right. Linda, what do you think you will... Well, okay. What do you think you will be doing at this exact moment, check your watch, 20 years from now? Linda Isaacs.
Gosh, what do I think I'll be doing 20 years from now? It's always a bad sign when the table topics master starts laughing when they start reading the question. I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. I think, given my age, ideally I would be retired. That would be nice, but in some ways, though, I think I'd get bored. I like learning new things, as you might have guessed by the topic that I chose for today's lecture. So I think that I will probably still be working, ideally part-time, ideally having found somebody to palm off all the parts of my job that I don't like onto them. I would like to travel. That would be a nice concept. I would like to still be involved in Toastmasters because I find I always learn something interesting when I come to a meeting. So probably my life would be a lot like it is now. That's certainly my hope. I hope to be just as healthy, just as involved, and just as engaged in learning new things.
I wrote that down. All I thought of is, at my age, in 20 years, I'm going to be under somebody's ground. Okay, thank you very much. Now, after I ask the next one, because we do have time, then Lucy, I'm going to let you pick out a word and put it out there, okay?
A word.
Please, don't be shy. Even if you spoke before, just come up, make a line over here. But I'm going to ask, who's the famous person that you have ever met, or famous people? Name a couple of famous people. And who's going to come up here first, please? Don't be shy. Come on. Joan, you can come up again. Everybody, just line up there because we do have extra time. Come on, who's brave? Come on.
I'll come again since everyone else is stepping out.
Good. Song, would you please come up? Come on, this is your first time on TV, and we'll get you. Just line up over there, please. Rachel, if you come out of the control room, or I'm sure Peter can wrap us.
How many more minutes we are?
Okay. Well, famous people. Why don't you take that one, or, yeah.
Yeah, famous people.
Famous people. So I'm not sure if I'm thinking of a famous person I'd like to meet, or would I like to be a famous person. I know for myself, fame seems rather scary because it's very invasive. As an example, someone who works in my office is actually married to an actor who recently was all over the news because a picture of him was taken when he was working at Trader Joe's. And that had created this enormous furor because people were making fun of him for working at Trader Joe's. That was their initial intent. And then a whole bunch of people chimed in to say, wait a minute, the guy's just trying to make a living. Why are you giving him a hard time? But what the person that I work with was saying was that it was really scary how much their life changed in the space of 2 days with the power of the internet and with the picture going all over the place. Their phone was going crazy. People they hadn't heard from that had been years were calling them. And it was like a snowball that was out of control. So personally, I don't have a lot of desire to be famous. I think that it's a hard thing to control once it gets going, and I think I'd rather just stay behind the scenes as much as I can, which is odd since I'm doing Toastmasters. Here I am on camera on television, but a limited amount of exposure is what I would prefer.
Thank you very much, Linda. I hope somebody else is waiting online, please. Oh, Kevin, thank you.
Do I qualify?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, good-looking man standing up there in that beautiful suit that had you crawling across the floor to fix the banner before. We have to give you extra time.
Sounds good.
Lucy's going to give you something now.
Moments in your life.
Oh,
Here we go.
fellow
Take 'em off the
Toastmasters,
clock.
welcome guests, TV audience, and of course, Lucy. There's so many moments in my life, it's hard to choose. But the most important moment, I would say to you, was the moment I made the decision to join Toastmasters. And I'll tell you why. Joining Toastmasters provided me an opportunity to open up my life in so many ways that it's almost impossible to number them. Toastmasters gave me the opportunity to develop my communication and speaking skills, got me to understand better my gift of talking, my gift of humor, and provided me an opportunity to then open up my business to become a professional speaker and to become president of the NSA New Jersey chapter. All of those things occurred because of Toastmasters. And actually, because of Fran never came to New Jersey to my club when we charted, then I would not have the opportunity to speak to you today. So if you're happy about hearing my speeches, then applaud Fran. If you're not happy, you blame her. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank
oh,
you.
Kevin, I don't know. You still won't bring your wife so I can meet her, huh? For years I've been saying, I don't believe you're really married. Oh, yes, I'm married. And last month we had his wedding picture up there, you remember? In the white suit? Yeah. Oh, Brave Girl song. Thank you, thank you. Good.
Thank
What have
you.
you got for song?
Goals, short terms and long terms.
Oh, there you go.
Goals.
Goals,
My
your goals.
short-term goal would be improving my public speaking skills, and long-term goals. There are so many. It will be never lose my cool. So no matter what circumstances or someone challenge my whatever integrity or my intention, I like to take a deep breath and calmly explain my position without losing my temper. There were a few occasions I regret I lost my temper, kind of raising my voices. But with lots of deep breathing practices, hopefully I never lose my temper or cool ever. Hope I answered to your question.
Let me ask you another fast one. What did you see in your husband that made you say yes when he proposed?
Actually, I proposed to him,
Oh, dear.
and he said yes.
On the first try?
First try. He was hesitant, actually. Then I gave him ultimatum. I'm not going to be in exclusive relationship with him. I'm going to keep open my perspective. That's right. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting looking at the red light. But he made the right choice. In 2 weeks, he said yes. I thank you for that.
Brave man, brave
Yes.
man. And we know why he's not coming up, so we won't even ask him. Okay. All right, thank you very much, Simon. Boy, you're a good sport. I hope you come to Richmond County's meeting this Wednesday coming up if you can.
Most likely I
Yeah,
will.
Joan will be there and another nice group of people. Okay?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Who's back there now, please? Come on, please step up. Paul? You're brave. Okay, Paul. Did you have a word for Paul or a phrase, Lucy?
No, you can have it.
No, I thought you wrote something down.
Oh, no.
I thought you were going to ask me for
School
historic
memories.
moments.
School memories. Your school
Oh,
memories.
goodness. Yeah, I definitely have a school memory. I went to the school in the state of Washington, which is in Washington State. And, you know, I have been in correspondence with many of my schoolmates there. So a few years ago, I decided to go back and visit them. So it was about a quarter of a century since I'd been back. And a friend of mine runs a bed and breakfast on the campus of Washington State, so he said I could stay there. And so I spent some time on the campus of Washington State. I went up to Spokane. So it's quite a difference after 25 years to see what things looked like. So it was quite an experience. So many things had changed. Certain things had stayed the same. But Washington State itself, the university, had about doubled in size. It was interesting to see how much they charged for rent. We went over to Idaho. I really it was quite an interesting experience. I think it was one of the memorable moments of my life. Yes, thank you.
Very good. Lucy, let me ask you. Have you ever participated in a wine tasting party? And if so, tell the folks. I don't know if you drink, I don't know if Richard drinks, but
We did participate in a wine tasting parties one time, and I was hoping that I don't know if I'm going to get drunk or not, and they told me like, no, you don't get drunk in participating. I said, why? Because if you taste the wine and you don't want it, you can just spit it, and there's a big or little thing, little packet. So we taste the wine, and if it's good, we drink it. If not, we just spit them again, and then we go to all the other wines and everything. And I thought that I'm going to get drunk, but I wasn't, because one of my girlfriends said, if you don't like it, I can have it. So I was saved by one of my girlfriends.
all right, now I'm going to ask your other half. Richard, You came on the show last month. Please come up. Just leave your camera there. Come up. I have a good question for you.
Richard.
Richard, who did I say? Oh. Richard Kahn, please. Come up. Don't waste my time, Richard. Okay, I have a good two-parter for you.
Get your
Richard.
Richard.
Come on, we have 2.5 minutes. Come on.
Come on. Come on. Richard.
I just want to know what's your best good habit and what's your worst habit. He's not coming. All right. Is somebody else over there?
Yeah, Joan.
Joan, thank you, Joan. Joan, I see one here and I'd love to get your answer for it. What is your... No, I better not. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll tell you on Wednesday when I see you again. Joan, what's your favorite kind of footwear?
Footwear. How about nothing on your feet? No, I'm only kidding. I'm one person that does decide to always wear something on my feet because I've seen so many people get hurt in their own home when they weren't wearing something on their feet. So I believe in that. Want to go out and play on your own lawn and be barefoot? That's fine. But for myself, I like comfortable shoes now. It's the truth. As you get older, your heel gets smaller and smaller until there is no high heel. Because what happened is heels do affect your back. I was told that by my chiropractor long ago. So, with that, I think I will shut my mouth because I think I put my foot in my mouth already. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. All right, now, very, very quickly, I wish there was one other guinea pig out there. When we're children, we wear pajamas. Usually those Dr. Dentons where the trap comes out in the back. You grow up and you wear a nightgown, then you wear slinky things when you get married and all this stuff. Who would like to talk about their favorite nighttime wear? What?
Finish. Just finish already.
We have 1 minute and 12 seconds there.
No.
All right. She doesn't want me to answer that question, so we'll let it go. All right, folks, if anybody from the community who sees our show has an idea for a speech they'd like to come on and make, if it's about one of your organizations, we're very happy to let you come on and talk about it. We've had, what was his name, D'Antoni, who talked about the senior housing group. That was a very interesting speech. We've had people from the National Lighthouse Museum on Staten Island. So we're open to anything. Toastmasters, we're ready to listen to people. We're ready to learn from them and hope that they learn something from us. Our next taping, our show will be on the next 2 Saturdays. Well, the first show we did this morning will be on the next 2 Saturdays. This show will be on the following 2 Saturdays. So I hope to see you next on Toastmasters in the community. And Lucy, thank you so much for sitting up front here. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
You're always timing with Joan, so we have to balance out who's going to time and who isn't going to time. And okay, so we'll just count down with the clock, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. I think the crew today was fantastic since 2 of the crew members couldn't come and one had to leave. We did a fantastic job this time.